This week in Jamaica Now, NIDS, null, void, and of no effect. Supreme Court strikes down law saying it violates people's rights.
It's a victory for the Jamaican people.
JCAA rejects criticisms over controversial plane crash report.
The evidence presented by the investigator show a totally different component, color, and part from the ring gear which was on my aircraft.
Murder-suicide in St Andrew.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but I'm a godly man.
Man pleads guilty to manslaughter in the death of fashion designer Dexter Pottinger, and HIV rates soar in Jamaican prisons. I'm Althea McKenzie in for Damien Mitchell, and this is Jamaica Now. The government was dealt a major blow Friday as Jamaica's Supreme Court ruled that the entire National Identification and Registration Act, NIDS, be declared null, void, and of no effect. The three-member panel, headed by Chief Justice Brian Sykes, said aspects of the act are in violation of the Constitution and the remaining portions could not stand on their own. NIDS required the mandatory submission of biometric information like fingerprint or iris scan, and provided for criminal sanctions for people who refuse to comply. But the court ruled that this would be a breach of people's right to privacy guaranteed under the Constitution. The court action was brought by People's National Party PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson on behalf of himself, his constituents in St Andrew South East, and members of the PNP.
It's a victory for the Jamaican people. We took this action on their behalf because we felt, based on the provisions in NIDS, that it challenged the Constitution, and it infringed and abrogated the rights of Jamaicans. The decision today is a vindication of the value of the Jamaican Constitution and its Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, and the right it gives to every Jamaican to ensure that the laws which Parliament enacts are consistent with the Charter of Rights. The decision, especially for parliamentarians, ensures that our duty is to make sure laws we enact are consistent with the Constitution. A less hurried approach, and I want to emphasize that at all stages of the game, we encouraged, we persuaded, we asked the government to refer this legislation to a joint select committee so that it could benefit from the input of Jamaicans here or abroad and subject matter experts. The government refused to accede to those requests, and as such we are here today. The court's ruling in general, a critical one in helping all Jamaicans to understand the importance and scope of the new Charter of Rights, and especially the rights such as the right to privacy, which is protected more fully in the 2011 Charter. The court's ruling also gives very important guidance on the burden on the state to justify limits on the fundamental rights and freedoms in the Charter. I want to thank the legal team that acted on my behalf, Queen's Counsel Michael Hilton, who is not here, who led, Donna Scott Motley, Philip Paulwell, Jennifer Housen, Sophia Fraser-Binns, Dwayne Allen. They spent months preparing this case, seeking precedents from all over the world, and they did so not for me but for the Jamaican people. We are very pleased with the outcome, and we will at early next week have a full press conference to indicate what we believe the next step should be in this matter.
The Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority, JCAA, has rejected claims by a flight school operator that the agency relied on false information in its probe into the deadly November 2016 Cessna airplane crash in Greenwich Town, Kingston. It is also maintaining that all its investigations were carried out according to international standards. The report concluded, among other things, that wrong and malfunctioning parts were fitted to the engine of the ill-fated aircraft. On Monday, the Gleaner reported that Captain Errol Stewart, the operator of the Caribbean Aviation Training Center, had taken issue with the final report. He said, for example, that it contained information about a ring gear that did not belong to his crashed airplane.
My ring gear is gray. They presented a red ring gear with the ring gear intact, which suggests falsification or of the part, the component that they are referring to. So any reference to ring gear and missing of teeth is not a representation of the parts that was on our aircraft.
The JCAA has conceded that a starter ring gear that did not belong to the crashed Cessna was included in the final report. However, it has sought to explain that it was attached to the engine crankshaft by the manufacturer during the investigations to determine measurements and specifications, and that's how it was concluded that the engine's internal timing was off. The JCAA also said it was disingenuous to claim that it was investigating itself, since the probe was carried out in conjunction with the National Transport Safety Board of the United States of America, the aircraft manufacturer Lycoming, and the aircraft manufacturer Cessna. There is now scrutiny on the Department of Correctional Services to determine whether it had done enough before one of its officers shot and killed his estranged wife, then himself, on Wednesday. Correctional Officer Patrick Gowans shot and killed his 42-year-old wife, Rolene Clark Gowans, on Waltham Park Road in St Andrew as she headed to work around 6:30 a.m. It happened in front of their 12-year-old daughter, who has been left traumatized.
I understand that the husband gets in a rage, shoot my daughter and shoot himself. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I'm a godly man, and I leave everything to God. I'm going up to the church to get to prayer.
Clark Gowans worked at the Fort Augusta Adult Correctional Center, while her husband worked at the Horizon Adult Remand Center. It is understood that for some time, Gowans had been threatening his estranged wife. He even reportedly turned up at her workplace, assaulted her, and threatened to kill her. However, the matter was not reported to the police, and no action was taken against Gowans. Outgoing Commissioner of Corrections Ina Hunter has declined to comment on the findings of a 2018 study which concluded that inmates in Jamaica's adult correctional institutions are contracting HIV at an alarming rate. The study was conducted by the National Family Planning Board. The HIV study looked at 726 inmates who had been incarcerated for more than 6 months from 3 male correctional centers and 1 female institution. It found that the prevalence rate was 6.9%. That's more than 100% higher than the 3.3% recorded in 2011. The St Catherine Adult Correctional Center had the highest rate, followed by the Tower Street Adult Correctional Center in downtown Kingston, the Fort Augusta Adult Correctional Center for Women, and the Tamron Farm Adult Correctional Center. Some inmates claim they had contracted HIV in prison. Data also shows that inmates have a syphilis prevalence rate of 4.5%. Kingston-based tattoo artist Romario Brown has pleaded guilty to the lesser offense of manslaughter in connection with the death of fashion designer Dexter Pottinger. Brown had been charged with murder. Brown's caution statement revealed that his actions were caused by provocation. When he appeared in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston, Brown also pleaded guilty to larceny from the premises and simple larceny. In the caution statement made to police shortly after his arrest, Brown said that while at the fashion designer's Eureka Place residence in St Andrew, Pottinger appeared before him naked with his penis erect. He further told police that he did not know that Pottinger was gay and was surprised by the act, subsequently using a knife to stab Pottinger 25 times. Before the incident occurred, the killer said that Pottinger posted bail for him on Tuesday, August 29, 2017, 2 days before Pottinger was found dead. Brown was bailed after being arrested by police for being in possession of 2 knives. Sentencing is set for May 24 before Justice Shelley Williams. The number of fatal shootings by police has seen a reduction since the start of the year. Statistics from the Jamaica Constabulary Force show that 21 civilians were killed by police personnel between January 1 and April 6, 2019. This is 12 fewer cases when compared to the corresponding period last year. There has, however, been an increase in the number of people killed by licensed firearm holders. A total of 6 persons were fatally shot, 5 more when compared with a similar period in 2019, and 2 persons were killed by security guards. And overall, murders have dropped by 7.5%. Manchester has, however, seen a 150% increase, and St James an 82% hike. Lionel Myrie, the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica PCJ director, linked to a $9 million donation, is to be summoned to appear before a parliamentary committee to explain his action. The donation was made by Petroleum and is now subject to a police probe. Lawmakers of the Public Accounts Committee want Myrie to answer questions at their next meeting scheduled for April 23. They want details about Myrie's role in the sponsorship payout to a group that has since been identified as the Sydenham Citizens Association. On Tuesday, Permanent Secretary in the Energy Ministry, Carol Palmer, revealed that Myrie met with her on Monday to clear the situation. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may tune in to Power 106 FM for regular updates. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. I'm Althea McKenzie in for Damian Mitchell. And before we go, watch Devon Gordon, also known as Mambi, work on a mural on Greenwich Park Road in Kingston.